Hi, I'm Molly Rapert. I'm an associate professor in the Sam M. Walton College of Business, and I could not be happier in this week of Thanksgiving to be sitting down with Ben Rector. I hope all of you are downloading his Thanksgiving song. It's the best Thanksgiving song you'll ever listen to, and you need to get on your devices and download and purchase it now. But thank you, Ben, for spending time with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Well, I have to say, when I look back at your time here in Walton, graduating in 2010, so
Yeah.
a decade now,
Yes.
that you may not even remember this, but my recollection of being in that second floor classroom is you would walk in on Tuesday mornings and you never once failed to ask me how my weekend was.
Oh,
And I
great.
can remember thinking, this is insane. You're driving all over the place, but you are asking me how my weekend was. And then I was scrolling back through some emails this morning, and do you know that you were the second student that reached out to me after my brother passed away in his plane crash in 2013? And I just remember being so struck by the fact that you would think of that and get my email and send me an email. And it's just, you've been generous from the moments I first met you, and squeezing us in today in the midst of all your radio interviews is just another example of that. So thank you for being a great role model.
Well, you're very, very kind to remember those things. Thanks for saying that.
Absolutely. So when you were here in Walton, you weren't the traditional student going to class Monday through Friday. I'd love for you to explain exactly how you navigated your different interests at that time.
Sure. So I started doing music, I would say like on a professional level, whatever that means, while I was in college. And so at first it was just like some stuff would come in and I would be like, I could probably drive there and back. And then as it started to grow a little more, it really was, I kept track of it. And I think in college, I played maybe like 200 shows, which is insane. And
That's
so from like sophomore to senior year, a lot of like most of the weekends I would drive, wherever it was, and not every weekend. There were seasons that were like, it was every weekend. And then there was some where it wasn't as bad, but like usually in the spring of those years, either Thursday afternoon or Friday morning, sorry, my Thursday and Friday teachers,
yes.
I would drive to some other place, usually in like an 8-hour circle around Fayetteville, play sometimes Friday and Saturday, and then drive home Sunday, sometimes Sunday as well. And it was, I wouldn't recommend it. I was so happy to get to do it. But towards the end, I had to keep a certain GPA for my scholarship. And I was trying very hard, but towards the end, it got a little dicey. I vividly remember one class where I showed up and everybody had Scantrons. And I was like, this is a bad feeling. This is
Yes.
because I didn't know we had a test. But that's not my style. I'm not like, I don't care. Like I was trying very hard, but it was definitely towards the end, it was clear. It was like, okay, I need to probably do this full time because I'm just like barely coming in for crash landing.
And you've done it full time, the music end, very well. In my class, we had an assignment where you had to come up with a one-page visual of your personal brand. And I can remember you turned in the cover to 20 Tomorrow and said,
Wow.
this is me. And my kids fought over who was going to get the CD. I think my son Luke ended up with it, still has
That's
it.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yes, it was great. So I think people look at your life, Ben, and it looks glamorous. You know, you're traveling all over places, playing to these audiences that are filled with fans like me who adore you. But I think the reality is it's a business. It's inventory and taking risks, making decisions. So how do you structure what you do in this structureless environment? What keeps you
Yeah,
motivated?
it's definitely a challenge, and I would say, and every job is challenging. I think that people probably are not super stoked to hear someone with a job like mine be like, it's really hard,
It
but
is hard.
it's a real challenge because you're kind of wearing, even with a great team, you're still wearing a lot of hats, and there is a very real, just like it is a very real business, and there's a business aspect to it. And then there's kind of the other creative stuff that's what people think of mostly. But I mean, anybody who travels a lot for their job would tell you it's definitely difficult. And it is not, I've had to work on trying to be able to enjoy some of the parts that I think people think of immediately, like travel and going to see fun stuff. But if you're traveling to like 5 places in a week, you're probably less likely to be like, you got to go check out the spots. I think for me, the thing that gives me the ability to enjoy it the most is if I'm disciplined in musical areas and other areas of my life. Like I just feel more together because it's not a very grounded profession in any sense. And so it's helpful for me. I'm able to enjoy it more if I approach it like a job with structure. Because if you don't, I just feel kind of upside down. So when I'm home, like I try to have kind of office hours where I'm writing and taking care of whatever interviews or emails or the next thing that's coming out. And then when I'm touring, I kind of have a routine there also. So,
You know, you remind me a lot of Luke Holland, your good friend. You're both
yeah,
in my class, same era, in that you're both in jobs that are fairly disconnected to what you did in the classroom. And
right.
but you've had to learn things on your own. So are there any factors that have helped you adapt and grow when you're really breaking new ground in this?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I think so much of I feel like my job feels unnatural to me because I feel like outside of this, I'm not like super the performing part is something that I've had to kind of learn. And I think it appears natural on stage, but like at the last time that I would have like sung in front of people that wasn't like a professional setting, like I never did that at parties. I'm not like into that. So I've had to kind of like try to learn how to make that feel natural, but also my family is not musical. It's not a thing that anybody that I knew did. And so it's been a huge learning curve. And it's honestly, as stuff grows, it's like new miniature games. It's basically like, okay, you learned tennis. That's like playing shows and clubs. And then it grows a little bit and you think that it's just doing the same thing in a bigger space, but it's really a whole new game with you learn about production and what risks you should and shouldn't take. And then even down to like how to structure a show, playing a show in front of 300 people versus like 3,000 or whatever people is a whole different ball game. Like it's almost like sleight of hand magic versus like if you go and have a Vegas show, you can't really just do card tricks anymore because it just doesn't work. So every step of my career has been essentially learning a little bit of a new sport, forming a new team, learning how to aim at different things, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like the only part that feels really natural to me is like writing a song and singing it. And everything else, I just feel like I'm like trying my best to learn because I thought I was going to be like I don't know, a banker or something in Tulsa. I'm not. So
Commercial real estate.
right. Totally.
Yes. So, you know, I remember last time you spoke to my class, one of the things my students really connected with was when you said, just in making a decision on a tour, you're trying to decide between, are these venues too small and so you're missing out on seats, or are they too large and you can't fill them? And I can remember they talked about that the next day, that they were really struck by that level of detail that you're thinking through.
No, totally. And I mean, that stuff matters a ton on both sides of it. There's very real potential for financial loss on a tour. Like no one is covering that. Like that's just on me. And as you grow, like those are large numbers. Like
Right.
a whole tour is incredibly expensive. And if you forecast incorrectly, I'm on the hook for that. That's like, oh, bummer, Ben, it didn't work out. You still got to pay for all these people and all this stuff. And at the same time, it's my nature probably to not take risks. And so the team around me has done a good job, even in growing the touring business, of being like, hey, you need to play in this room. And I'll be like, no one's going to come. We can't do it. And then I've benefited greatly from that, because if it were just me, I probably would have kept it much tighter and be like, I understand how to do this. And so it's been really helpful to have people around who are experts being like, hey, like, let's really push a little bit. But I'm definitely weighing that stuff out.
I can't even imagine the minutia of details. So Sam Walton College of Business, he once said, you can make a lot of mistakes in business and still recover as long as you're efficient. Can you think of maybe a mistake that's popped up that you've been able to recover from and learn from?
Yeah. I'm trying to think what a specific one would be. Honestly, and this is probably a great, not personification, a great like example of what you just said. I think honestly, in the beginning, the mistake I made a lot was I was so unwilling to take different kinds of risks, as far as like I should have had more personnel on my tours earlier on. And because I wanted to be like, I wanted to be profitable and to make sure I wasn't making a bad decision, I, and the guys that I was with, we did a lot more stuff than we probably should have been doing at the level that I was at. Like I remember playing rooms without a tour manager that were like, you should never have done that. But I was just kind of like, I don't know, like I don't know how to do this. And so I think I probably would have benefited from doing it just more like right and less like bootstrappy earlier on. But honestly, because I was efficient in those early days, I had more experience and ability to understand when it was right to take those risks. Like a lot of people get it backwards. They'll get into music and they want to have like all the bells and whistles, and then they don't manage anything correctly. And as soon as things slow down, they're out. And so because I was hyper efficient early, I now have the freedom to do things a little more in a way that I want to do them and it's comfortable for me. So that's good, but I wish I could like have threaded it a little better. I was probably too far inside.
I bet it's given you an empathy for the people in those roles and
Oh,
what they're doing to support you now that you couldn't have had otherwise.
totally. And when someone is doing a really good job, like that has an impact on like my life and my family's life. And I am super, super thankful when people do a good job, because I'm like, you are giving me a genuine gift, which is awesome.
Well, I'm going to wrap up with a lightning round of 5 questions, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Favorite artist you're listening to this month?
This month. Oh my gosh. Probably James Taylor.
Oh, can't go wrong
You
there.
can't.
Saw him on Mud Island. Amazing.
Yeah.
Favorite thing to do when you come back to Fayetteville, other than speaking to my class, of course?
Okay. I think, man, I didn't play golf in college, but I am now an avid golfer. So anytime I get to play a new course or with some new people, I get excited about that. But I also would have to say probably stop by Slim Chickens.
My son Jace is in town going there today, and Jonah took up golf. So I've been hearing a lot about this.
Got the bases covered.
Part of campus you're most nostalgic about?
Either Pomfret or maybe the music building, because I went in between classes and after classes to the practice rooms there all the time.
And what's your favorite song you've written, if you think of it today? I'm sure you've had favorites over the years. Mine is Sailboat.
I think probably I would say The Men That Drive Me Places would be my favorite.
That is a good one.
Thank you.
Okay, last. You're in a whole new season of life. You're married to the awesome Hillary. You've got kids. What's been an unexpected joy in that?
I think I expected to obviously love my children. That was not a surprise to me, but how much I think I didn't know if I would feel more pressure, like, oh gosh, I got kids. I got to like, fill in the blank, like do really well at this or really have stuff together. And I feel like in a weird way, it's grounded me. It's like calmed me down a ton, and it's kind of helped put stuff in perspective, which I did not expect. I feel like now I definitely still get anxious about stuff or will be stressed out, but it's all correctly weighted. Like, it's just like, yeah, this doesn't matter that much. Like what matters is Jane and the boys. And yeah.
Of course. I'm so happy for you. I'm going to share my screen and show you one last thing. I went for a walk yesterday, found your name. Sorry for my feet. Luke, Rapert, and I both stand in this strange way, but there's your name. Ben, I'm so proud that your name is etched on our sidewalks, that will always be there. I'm grateful for you always saying yes when I email or call. I don't take it for granted.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's funny to me, I feel like everybody else got like their full name and all that kind of stuff. They just put, I don't know why or how that happened. And it's like, I feel like everybody else's name is like so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. And my real name is Benjamin also. It's just like Ben Rector.
But you know what? You are Ben Rector, and I am proud to know you. So happy Thanksgiving to you, and to anyone watching. Go out and buy that song and the rest of his great litany of music. So thank you, Ben, and have a great day. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Good to see you.
You too.